Thanks for checking out this movie review video. This is for the 2022 film The Long Night. It's a Shudder exclusive and it's coming to Shudder on Thursday, June 30th. So this is a no spoiler review. Now that said, if you've already seen the film, it will have a little bit of extra context for you and you'll be able to relate to some, more fine points that I kind of throw out there. So watch it either way. Do whatever you want. Put some comments though, and I will tell you, you can comment with spoilers if you've seen the film. So anyone who doesn't want spoilers, just know if you want to comment, don't look at other comments because there may be spoilers. So, The Long Night, directed by Rich Ragsdale, who also directed The Curse of El Charro and a load of music videos. So I will say that you can tell that there's a visual, I don't want to say a visual master, but someone who knows visuals quite well, which fits with the whole making a bunch of music videos thing. So I think that Ragsdale has a definite future in directing. That said, not a big fan of the script, to be honest. And that was written by Mark Young, who also wrote scripts Southern Gothic, Tooth and Nail, which I think was one of the 8 films to die for, like, at one point. The Killing Jar, Feral, and Limbo, and also Robert Sheppe, or Sheppe, it's spelled S-H-E-P-P-E, does not have any other credits. So what is the film about, basically? It's about a woman and her partner who, she doesn't know a whole lot about her actual biological family, but she wants to find out. She's putting some feelers out there. She gets contacted by a guy who basically says, I have information about your family. Come to this location. It's a very nice looking house on very nice looking property, kind of in the middle of nowhere. They get there, the person is not there who's supposed to be there, and some weird things start happening. That's as much as I'm going to give you because I don't want to give anything away if people want to watch the film. And I do think this is a film that will find a fan base. I personally am not a fan of the film, and I'll tell you why, but there are positives with the film for sure, and that's why I feel like this will find a fan base. Which is great, because I always hope, unless it's a really terrible, terrible film like, I know I say this all the time, Glenn Danzig's Veronica, I hope that almost every single film actually finds a fan base. So, and I think this one will. There's something odd that briefly happens early on that just kind of gives you a little hint that something is off. They kind of get off of it really quick. It's like a really quick thing, but it's enough as an audience member for you to be like, okay, what are we going to do here? What's happening? The same thing comes up much later in the film. It's kind of like a callback to it, but it gives you that kind of unsettled, intrigued feeling, which is a nice kind of hook in the beginning. There is good music in it. Now, that said, not all the music is good in it. I do think there's over-dramatized music, and I think there needed to be a lot of work done with understanding the best way to use music. The composition of the music isn't necessarily the problem. I do think sometimes it's a little over-dramatized, but the biggest issue comes with it being overused, and when it's being used, being cranked to 11. Now, if you've watched enough of my reviews, you know I really, really hate it when the score is just screaming at you as an audience member, because it kind of makes you feel like your intelligence is being insulted, basically saying, hey, idiot, are you getting it? This is how you're supposed to be feeling right now. And then at some point, especially with the way it's played in this film, it gets to a point of feeling annoying, like extremely annoying. So the score, a lot of problems with that, unfortunately. It also just gets to a point of just feeling ridiculous. It kind of takes the film and makes you question, like, is this supposed to be parody? Because it's making fun of it in a way with how crazy this music is. Like how crazy loud and in your face and overly dramatic it is. So yeah, that was probably my biggest issue with the film, in addition to the pacing, because as you know, I'm big about pacing, and the pacing in this is not very good. Beginning goes at such a leisurely pace that you do expect that it will feel stretched for time, and the pacing will have problems. And that is the situation. Now, that said, it does pick up more around the hour mark. Unfortunately, the pacing is very slow up until that point. And then even after that point, when there's more interest kind of injected into the film, mainly because of, getting answers to stuff about the story, they still have these scenes that just go on way too long, and you're just like, we can move on now. This is a film that should have been a short film, in my opinion. Unfortunately, it's an hour and a half long. I don't think it needs to be anywhere near that long. Maybe 45 minutes. Yeah, maybe 45 minutes. I think you could have cut the sucker in half. I really do think would have been super effective, really good as a short film, in my opinion, especially because of the visuals. Because, like I said, Ragsdale did a really nice job with the visuals. Cinematography, directing, good. Quite liked it. There were actually some pretty stunning visuals that end up getting done in this film. Early on, there's just a few moments where you're like, oh, that looks wonderful. Once you hit that hour mark where a lot more is being introduced about the story, that's when you start getting a lot more of those really nice, cool visuals. And that's, I think, visually where the film actually shines. But like I said, you know, the script, in my opinion, feels really tired. It's not a new idea at all. Doesn't really add much of anything new or unique on its own. It just feels like well-trodden material that, you know, you'll just be like, oh, okay, yeah, seen this before. So, honestly, where it stands out is with visuals, for the most part. The shooting locations look nice as well. I did really enjoy the shooting locations. They're very nice to look at. So, it does help that some of the shooting locations look really good when they're taking a long time. Now, that said, there's a lot of time taken to just be inside of a house. That's not where I want to be spending a lot of the longer scenes. If it's belabored as much as it is, I don't want to be just looking inside someone's house, unless it's like super interesting looking, but it's not in this instance. Like, take me outside and like have me in the woods where it looks super cool and nice. There's some done costuming. Now, I'm not going to tell you for who, but you'll see what I mean. There's a particular type of character within the film, very well costumed. So good job on the costuming within this film. I did enjoy that. Does add some nice dread and interest to the film. The film's broken into chapters. I don't know if people have a proclivity for liking that or not liking that. For me personally, it felt like it didn't really matter to the film, to be honest, so I felt really no way about it. I just think that people might want to know that. The dialogue is not great. That's another thing. This goes back to the whole, I didn't think the script was super awesome. Some of the acting is not the greatest, and so there are certain scenes where it's like the acting isn't quite where you want it to be, plus the dialogue isn't written super well, and that, like, is, I'm not going to say a train wreck, but it's a little rough at times. A little extra rough at times. As the film goes on, the music gets very annoying. It's overused and very over the top. I'm going to repeat that because, man, they really needed to tone that down. Really needed to tone that down. They start answering questions around the 1 hour mark once again, and then once again, like, the story picks up at the hour mark, the visuals pick up at the hour mark. Like, that's where the majority of the interest in this film is going to be. And it all starts to lead towards, obviously, the ending, and your question becomes, is this worth it? Was this slow pacing? Was this ridiculous music? Was this writing all worth it in the end? For me, no. I felt like the ending itself, while I was more intrigued at the hour mark and to the end, it still just wasn't enough for me to be like, I'm glad I spent my time watching this. The very ending was the big twist to it I saw coming a mile away. Just my personal feelings. But like I said, I think it will find its let's just say market. I think it will find its fan base. I really, really do. I know there are some people who do like a lot slower horror films, and I think this is more geared towards those people. It's just not me. The story is very much about the question and anxieties around who your family is and finding out whether that will define you as a person or not. I think that's kind of the core issue that they were looking to kind of make a metaphor out of within this film. Well, it's a little more than metaphor. It's a little more in your face, but interesting concept, executed like a lot of other films from a story standpoint. So just doesn't really stand out in my opinion. It's kind of blah to me. I do need to say to close out that Nolan Gerard Funk did what he could with his role. Nice work, Nolan Gerard Funk. Also, shout out to Deborah Kara Unger, who had a very good performance. I wanted even more of her character in this film because of how she chewed scenery. So those two individuals, very nice job. Other people were serviceable, some other people not even serviceable. And I'm just going to leave it there. But obviously, I wasn't a big fan of this film. Out of 5 stars with half stars in play, I'm going to give it 2 stars. I was between 1.5 and 2, but the visuals are really good, and there were some really good performances in it. And like I said, it does pick up some and gets more interesting at the hour mark. So 2 stars for me. But I'd love to know other people's opinions on this. Like I said, go ahead and put comments down. Love it, hate it, in between. We can talk about it. And are there some things that you feel like I missed to this? Like, am I not appreciating a part of this? Because I'm always open to listening to other people's opinions on this, because I don't know, maybe I'll see that I kind of missed something, and that might change my perception of films. But at the moment, this is how I feel about the film. Put some comments. Do me a favor, hit subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. That is your way to repay me if you like this video or any video I've ever done. That's how you repay me. That's how you say thank you. Because at this point, when I'm recording this, I'm not making any sort of money doing this. Just kind of putting out free content, which I've been doing this for like 4 years or something. It's a lot of work. It really is. It is fun, but it's also a lot of work. So the subscribes really help. Keeps me motivated. Also hit the notification bell button, because then you'll know when I'm putting up my new videos each week, which is 4, and I think that's a good amount. But regardless, thank you so much for checking out this particular video. And until next time, keep it brutal.